Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Rich Mancuso, live. This is Keeping in the Ring as always. This is a Thursday evening edition of February 27, 2025. My YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Like, comment, and subscribe. Also at String Punk Entertainment and my Facebook page. Don't forget, like that page. There's always content going up there as well. Thomas behind the controls once again tonight, Tommy D, and I'll bring him in a moment. On the hour ahead, maybe a little more tonight again, the super card was super. Where does Demetrio Bivol turn next as he regains the light heavyweight championships from Arturo Benavidez? We saw the egg and the slap. Conor Benn and Chris Eubanks Jr. We'll go into that a little later. Teofimo Lopez. Gervonta Davis coming up Saturday night, Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York, defending his WBC lightweight title. Talk about that in a moment. Some MMA notes. WWE, AEW, WWE, of course, WrestleMania season. The Rock and Cody. What's going to happen on SmackDown tomorrow night? Where does Cody go with The Rock's ultimatum? And, of course, the nostalgia fact of the week, much more. Your comments also, please do that on the hour ahead here at Keep It in the Ring. The boxing schedule scrolled at the bottom of your screen. We are in the fight season once again. Some good fights coming up this weekend. We'll analyze that as well. And try to get to as many comments that you put up as possible as we go along during the hour. And I thank you all for your continued support, comments each and every week here on the program. Spread the word. It's Keep It in the Ring with Rich Mancuso and Tommy D here on Thursday nights live at 8 p.m. In addition, my social media at the bottom of the page. Don't forget, get to me, X on Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. With that, let's get to it. Because that Saudi Arabia card on the Zone pay-per-view over the weekend certainly was a super card. Lived up to expectations. A couple of glitches with different opponents with two different fights. Other than that, everything worked to par. Great job by the Saudi Arabians and the Turk guy, Eddie Hearn, Oscar De La Hoya, involved in this show, and Frank Warren at Queensberry. That's how you do it. Get the promoters together, get the big fighters together, you put the big fights together. You got a super card like we saw on Saturday night that grabbed everybody's attention, and maybe 6 hours long if you watch the pre-fight activity and so forth. What can you say? It's Riyadh season, happened in Riyadh again. All I can say is this: the boxing capital of the world now no longer belongs to Las Vegas, New York City, Texas, or anywhere else in the United States. It happens to be in Saudi Arabia again because the kings and princes of Saudi Arabia, as I keep telling you each and every week, they have the money, they lure in the promoters, the big fights are being made, and let's face it, they're the winners here. And you, the fans, become the winners, whether you like it or not, because you're not seeing these fights here in the United States. You're seeing them in Riyadh live if you want to go, if you can get there and can afford it. That's where the action is. They're doing the job. You have to give them credit to it. And they're going with the promoters want where the money is. That's what it is. So let's get enough into that and get to the event itself. Before I bring Tommy D in, let's look at Demetrio Bivol, who regained that light heavyweight title against Arturo Benavidez. A classic it was. Is there a trilogy ahead in this one, or does Bivol have David Benavidez the mandatory that the most of the sanction organizations say that Benavidez is the guy next to get Demetrio Bivol? So we also will look at Shakur Stevenson next. Let me bring in Tommy D, and let's go over the Demetrio Bivol Arturo Benavidez fight. Tommy, my friend, thank you for being here again with me this week. Good friend and colleague, and your assessment as we analyze this fight some more. Demetrio Bivol and Arturo Benavidez definitely had another classic. A little different from the first one, but Bivol was on the money here on Saturday night.
I thought it was a good fight. I kind of disagree with you a little bit. I actually had Beterbiev winning this fight.
Really?
I thought Beterbiev did a little bit more than the first fight, but I also thought he let him off the hook. He had Bivol hurt I believe, in the fourth or fifth round. And usually Bivol, when he sees blood, he goes for the kill. And for whatever reason, I thought he let him off the hook. He had Bivol early on. And
What was known as the last crescendo, and indeed it was, a 12-round unanimous decision, 114-114 to one judge, 116-112, which I felt was rather wide, 115-113 another. The rematch from October, to me, Bivol jabbed. He was aggressive. Let's look at those punch stats, Thomas. That could tell the story. Do CompuBox once again. 170 punches thrown overall, a record for a Beterbiev opponent. Interesting, by 140 punches. And even the power shots for Bivol, 40 more jabs. That might have done it as well. But Thomas, I ask you this. Should these two have a third fight, a trilogy, or should Bivol, who's going to take a long rest, as he says, look at David Benavidez, that most of the sanctioning groups say is a mandatory for him, or does Bivol, as he has claimed, want to move up to cruiserweight? What are your thoughts on that?
It's very interesting. I think Bivol definitely has options. I think Beterbiev is kind of like, has to make decisions now for himself, because you don't want to have another long layoff like he has had before these two fights. Fighting like once a year, and he had a couple injuries and he's been out. So you would think Beterbiev would want this right away. If they don't do this right away, then I think they both have to move on and just take on other opponents and look to do other things.
Regardless, it might be a year away because, Benavidez is in the picture. And then he's been talking, Bivol, about Canelo Alvarez. And Alvarez has been talking about him, but Canelo's got his eyes on Terence Crawford. Let's look at that. You know what I loved about this show in Riyadh was all the champions were there. And they came out to see a great supercard of boxing, including Canelo Alvarez, who wasn't there, though, including Terence Crawford. And I thought Canelo should have been there because he's a part of a big deal now with the Turk guys, Kings and Princes, 4-fight deal worth like $40 million. Canelo and Crawford was a discussion out there. It even centered more of a highlight than Bivol and Benavidez in the whole card. But here's a Turk guy. He's also hosting Teofimo Lopez, who's also a part now of a 3-fight deal with the Turk guy and the Saudi Commission and the Boxing Commission also. Canelo said this week, speaking of him, that Crawford only won one big fight against Earl Spence a couple of years ago. And that's coming with Canelo now being with the Turk guy with this 5-fight deal of $400 million. But he said he only won one significant fight against Spence. And Crawford responded, "I've always had joy in making somebody look like nobodies." What do you think about that?
I like it. I like the attitude from Crawford, especially. I mean, he's got, the odds against him. He's pretty much has his back against the wall, moving up, 2 weight classes, in my opinion, 3, because he only fought once at 154, from 147, going all the way up to 168. I mean, we've got to meet Bud in person. He's actually a little bit bigger than what I thought. I like it. I like it. Bud is a great fighter, but Canelo has some points as far as the resume is concerned. Canelo's been in the ring with some Hall of Fame fighters, whereas Bud, he's got the win against Spence, but and he has made people, fighters look bad, but that's not his fault. He's fighting the guys that they put him in the ring with. So
yeah, and it is interesting, though, again, that Terence Crawford, as we'll talk more about, that's getting into September, months away, of course, he says he weighs 196, 186, got to move up 2 weight classes, so he's got to get used to that weight. And then he say that Bud Crawford can't handle 154, and he didn't look good at 154 in his last fight, we know that. Not like it was a 147, but regardless, we've got a big fight, mega fight ahead with Canelo Alvarez and Terence Bud Crawford in September as part of Crawford's deal now with the Turk guy, it looks like, and more so with Canelo Alvarez. And by the way, when I leave you this with Dimitri Bivol, does he ever get Canelo Alvarez again? And it would be the 168 or 175. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think if we do see it, I don't think Canelo's going to move up to 175 to fight him. I think he won't do that again. He's going to try to drain Bivol and try to get as many advantages as he can, right? So if Bivol's going to fight, if Bivol wants a Canelo fight, he's probably going to have to drop down to 168. So, and
Tommy, the only we want to ask you one other thing as we close the chapter on this Bivol Beterbiev fight that I'm sure Beterbiev wants a trilogy. He's asked for it already, and I don't know if he's going to get it right away. It might happen, depends on logistics and outcomes and so forth. Your overall impressions of Dimitri Bivol, okay?
Mm-hmm.
At his weight and what he's done so far, is he now considered a top all-around fighter and in that pound-for-pound category as well?
Oh, I definitely think he's a top 10 pound-for-pound guy, and I think he's proven it. Even in even in defeat, as he's got the win his last fight. I personally thought he lost the fight. But even in defeat, he fought another guy that I believe is also a top pound for pound guy, a top 10 guy. And, they were neck and neck, and it was in two close fights. So I think, and he beat Canelo, who everybody considers Canelo a top pound for pound guy. So, you know what? Beterbiev definitely deserves to be probably top 5 in the pound for pound list.
Moving on to that super card, Thomas, let's take a look at the IBF heavyweight champ, Daniel Dubois, who had to withdraw because of illness. In steps Bacoli versus Joseph Parker. Parker gets the second round KO, a very heavy Bacoli. I mean, he's huge. For the interim heavyweight title, possibly, maybe, Alexander Usyk next. We got some images of that. There is the second round KO. Bacoli fell flat down. But you know what? In that first round, he looked sharp. He looked like he was on his way to something.
Yeah, and then he got gassed. And he just, he's a big guy and taking a fight short notice. My thing is that I don't know how he was still that big when he was supposed to be preparing for a fight for an eliminator against Efe Ajagba. So I'm not sure why he was still so heavy. It's good that he took the fight, to kind of get in the good graces of Turkey, but it's a bad look for him, because everybody called him the boogeyman, and he just came in out of shape and he got washed pretty much.
We're talking about the heavyweight division now that has relevance once again, even with Tyson Fury, at least for now, out of the picture, and still Anthony Joshua making some noise about getting in the ring. I don't know where he's going next, but Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker, even not so much Bacoli, but that heavyweight division. And Bacoli, I think, is going to be reckoned with again by someone. The heavyweight division has some relevance again, despite Dubois with the IBF title having to step away because of an illness this time. Your thoughts on the division right now?
I think the division is getting a lot better. It's getting more competitive, but some questions have to be answered. Like I think Bacoli gets another shot. I mean, hopefully he's in shape, and I think he'll get another opportunity. The IBF just said that, they took him off, I guess, the rankings, like the eliminator, so he's going to have to work his way back up. But the question is, what happened to Dubois? I mean, that was
nobody knows.
Yeah,
nobody knows. And it happened at the last minute. It didn't happen a week before. It just happened the day before the fight week festivities and such. So yeah, that remains a mystery. But where does Usyk stand in all this? What are your thoughts? Who's going to be gunning for the heavyweight title now for Usyk?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like they're still going to try to find a way to get Dubois in there with Usyk because their first
they'd have to do it. I would think they have to. That has to be done. I mean, unexpected illness comes on and has to withdraw from the fight. So I would think that they will match the two of them up. We go out of that and we look at the fight that I thought was not the showstopper that everyone thought, but a very good fight. Virgil Ortiz and Madrabanov. Junior middleweight, 154, not a classic. Ortiz with the 12-round unanimous decision defends his WBC interim interim title, the Oscar De La Hoya Golden Boy product. Ortiz now 23-0, 21 knockouts, back and forth affair. Madronov frustrated Ortiz early, and then he had the movement. And we take a look at the punch stats on this one, courtesy of CompuBox again. Ortiz outlanded Madronov 166-122 in punches. Both separated no more than 4 punches throughout the fight. Interesting development. Ortiz said afterwards the fight was the best. That's who he wants to fight, the best. Who is next for him? Is it going to be Crawford, the champion in division, Fundora, champion in division, all at 154? What are your thoughts on that, Tom?
I was very impressed with Virgil Ortiz. I got to eat crow. I looked very bad because I picked Madronov to beat Virgil by stoppage. I thought he was going to annihilate Virgil just based off both their last performances. I thought Madronov fought very well versus Bud, and I thought Virgil looked bad versus Boachuk. And I just thought it was going to be a nightmare for Virgil. But I thought Virgil dominated this fight. I didn't think this fight was close, like a lot of people may have said. I had Virgil winning 5 of the first 6 rounds. I thought he was outboxing him, outlanding him. I thought Madronov was scared to engage and throw punches until the second half of the fight. He was doing a lot of feints and a lot of moving around, but wasn't really throwing or landing any punches. So I was very impressed with Virgil Ortiz, and I thought he beat Madronov better than Bud Crawford did.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was much closer early, like you said, but Ortiz did definitely. It's a well-deserved decision, gets the win, and for this young man, I think thinks he just gets better as he goes along. You see improvement in his style, and he had a tough opponent in Madronov, as you said. But now, where does he go? That's a question coming out of this fight, and I don't know if it'll be Crawford. It might be Fundora. It depends on what he does next month in his title defense against Charles Conwell. But let's see where that goes with the young Virgil Ortiz, who defends the title. And then we look at the multi-fight deal with Shakur Stevenson in Matchroom. He showed some lingering effects of a hand injury still in this fight, but he defended the WBC lightweight title against the replacement, the unheralded Josh Padley, a 15-1 fighter who was doing electrician work just days before he got called in to be the replacement here for Floyd Schofield. 27-year-old Stevenson, the 9th round TKO. And an array of punches in the second half of this fight. The question is, based on his performance and based on what we're going to see this weekend with Gervonta Davis at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, which I'll talk more about in a little while, Shakur would like Gervonta. And Gervonta doesn't know if he's going to get him. That's a mega fight. That's what everybody wants to see. But let's first look at Shakur's performance. Again, I think it was a slow start, Thomas. We've come to expect Shakur Stevenson to come off slow at first. And then he picks it up. And here, Padley obviously outmanned at the end. But you got to give it to Josh Padley because he was in it for a little bit.
No, I definitely give it to Padley, especially as a late substitute, coming in, 3 days before the fight, was able to be on weight, which I found very surprising and kind of shocking. He was already on weight, but that's another story within itself. But I thought Paddy looked good, but Shakur being Shakur, he's gonna see what you got in the first few rounds. He's gonna outbox you. He's very distant. He's very defensive. He keeps his distance. And once Shakur figured him out, I think it was all over for Padley. Padley was very gamed. I thought he, for 3 days rest, I thought he fought well. He didn't want to stop. The corner stopped the fight. But Shakur, I thought Shakur looked good. I would like to see how his hands are. It looks like his hands were hurt again. But I think, for Shakur, I think it's Tank Davis or nothing now. Like, that's the fight.
Yeah, well, we'll see if Tank Davis will talk about Shakur after his fight on Saturday and his title defense at the Barclays Center. That's the fight fans and the whole boxing world wants. It would be a mega fight in the lightweight division. Two champions, and Both young superstars in this sport command a lot of attention. We'll see. We'll see after Saturday. But Shakur to me was Shakur Stevenson, even fighting with, again, a bad hand again, as he said. Carlos Adames and Cherise. Adames wins this split decision, controversial draw, retaining his middleweight title, 24 and 1, 18 knockouts. The draw, 115, 114, 118, 110, and here it is, 114, 114 on one card, retaining the WBC middleweight title. And Cherise outlanded Adames. As you look at those punch stats, 34-20 in the first 4 rounds. Adames responded, outlanding Cherise 123-101 in the next 8 rounds. Now, for Carlos Adames in a division that is, to me, mediocre, I feel it is. Some don't.
We're not used to seeing the middleweight division as mediocre. Let's use mediocre is a good word. Like this before. Usually, the middleweight division was usually a very solid division. But as far as the fight is concerned, I thought Adames was robbed. I thought Adames.
Yeah, that's what Frontline is telling us right now in his comments, that he thought that there was a straight robbery, and that's what he thought. But a draw is just a draw to some fighters is like a win to them, even though it's not a win. So,
well, I don't think it's a win for in this scenario. It's definitely not a win for Shiraz because he doesn't get anything out of it. He's the challenger. He doesn't get the title. And I just think it's a bad look. I mean, when you talk about robberies, not only as far as scoring the fight, was Turkey walking around with the judges getting the scores. And
I'm glad you brought that up. The WBC said that he did not have, there were no infractions there, that he was by a monitor at ringside, but he had no idea. He would go up there and direction based on his opinion and not looking at a TV monitor where they're obviously discussing the round and where they thought the fight was at that point. I don't know if I could believe that or not, but then again, you're talking WBC and you're talking the Turk guy with all the money. This is boxing politics, so you don't know what you could believe, but I found that to be very, very not on the level, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I just think it's a bad look, on top of the other things of the fighters getting pulled out and then they had to put these late replacements, with that. I think you're seeing a little bit of arrogance in Turkey now. And I just don't, I think these are things we have to look out for. I think everybody's very happy with Turkey and
because he's got the money then,
but
he's got it.
Things,
so
yeah. But Rich, these are things we got to look out for because
I know, but you know what? It's going to be bypassed. In my era of Don King, a lot of things that he did wrong, and he did a lot of right for the sport as well. But in my time with Don King, I could remember controversy constantly all the time. And he was always, what he did was always bypassed because he had the money. He had the money to put on the fights and pay the fighters. So they just let it go, even back then in a totally different era. But this is, to me, this is totally different because, as I said earlier, Tom, Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, that's become the fight capital of the world. There's no doubt about it.
For now, we'll see how everything goes, but that's definitely opened up my eyes a little bit wider as to and see what happens next in the next card.
How about this for Adames? Still in that division though is the oldest champion right now in the sport, Arisando Lara, who's the WBA champ in that division. So maybe that's a possibility for him.
Yeah, I think that's a good fight. I think for Adames, I think for now he's gonna, try to unify, step up. I mean, I'm sure he got a nice little payday. He didn't get the win, but he still walks away still with his championship title. So, I think unless they throw him a lot of money for the rematch, I think he should try to unify with Janibek or Lara. So
let's go back to the heavyweight division on this super card Saturday in Saudi Arabia this past weekend. How about Cadriel and Smith with the KO over the big Chinaman Zhang? The second round on, he outlanded 162-70 of power punchers, connecting on his body shots. Cadriel went down early in the fifth round, recovered, then went off with the body punches. Now you know. Now the question is about this guy Zhang, who defeated Deontay Wilder. He's had some good wins in the heavyweight division. Where does this big man go from here?
I don't know what Zhang does after this. This is a bad loss for him. I called it, by the way, Rich. I did pick Ajit to win. I did say he would stop him as well, but it's just a bad loss. I mean, he's been coming to each fight bigger and bigger with more weight. Putting on more pounds, and he's just looked sluggish his last few fights. Unless he could come down in weight and maybe be in better shape. I don't know where Zhang goes for here, and I think
nobody does. Nobody does. I just got to feel that the chapter is closed on him for trying to be a heavyweight champion at this point, based off this loss. And how about Kaleem Smith, 31-2 now, outlasting Joshua Bautista, undefeated fighter, 19-0, with the 11th round. Was not enough for Bautista against him. And now is the WBC interim light heavyweight champ. He could be looking at Bivol or Benavidez. Your thoughts?
I thought, first of all, I thought that fight might have been the best fight of the whole card. I thought that was a really good fight. Went to decision. I think the right guy won. I think one of the scorecards was a little bit off, if I can remember correctly, but definitely I thought Callum Smith won that fight. But it was a very good competitive fight, and it was a solid. I mean, it was entertaining as well. Where Callum Smith goes from here, well, every time he steps up in competition, in his 2 losses, he's been beat up bad, and that was against
Canelo Alvarez
and Canelo. I could see him fighting Benavidez. I could see him getting fed.
Possible that's come.
Trilogy.
That's come up. That's come up about Smith and Benavidez, and if Benavidez can't get Bivol, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon. All right, Tom, great analysis as always on the supercard from Saudi Arabia. I'll get back with you later in the hour as we continue keeping in the ring, because we got a guest. We got a guest this week, as we do every week, or we try to, and a good one tonight. I'm going to bring in John Padro.
No. It's
what is
Johnny
it?
Boy.
Johnny Boy. Why did I call him
Boy,
John?
yeah.
You know why? Because John Boy was a fighter that I knew. That's why.
Okay.
Well, let's bring in Johnny Boy, John Padro from Fight Hype, a great vehicle for boxing fans to watch. And there he is, my friend. How are you?
Salute, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I will hear you well. Do you hear us okay?
Yeah, perfect. I can't believe it. I'm surprised I got it working.
How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm just paying attention to the conversation you guys were having.
I hope you're enjoying it, and
Yeah,
it's enlightening you a bit.
Great content.
Let's ask you first about your thoughts on the supercard. What did you think?
I thought it was overall it was pretty good. They said it was the best fight card in the history of boxing. I don't agree with that, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think it was the greatest supercard that we've seen in boxing, but it's up there in my top 5, though.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Anytime you get like more than 4 championship fights and superstars on the same card, that's why they call it the supercard in Riyadh. And the kings and princes of Saudi Arabia, the Turk guy, they're able to do it. Your impressions briefly of 2 fighters on that card in particular, Dimitri Bivol and Shakur Stevenson.
I like Dimitri Bivol. I felt he won the fight. I felt he won the first fight as well. He had a great ring generalship. He has a high boxing IQ. I really love the way he throws multiple combinations and throws, and he's constantly on his toes, moving. So I felt that Better Beav eventually Father Time would catch up to him. He did well. He fought, but I think it was more convincingly for the second fight that Beaver won that fight. And Shakur Stevenson, I'm a big fan. I'm related to him. He's my cousin, so I got to go with Shakur.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His father,
I didn't know that. It's interesting. Are you driving right now? Or are you in an Uber? Where are you?
No, I'm parked at a gas station. I was trying to get home, and I couldn't make it home. I had to get on the show with you, Rich. I had to put you first.
I appreciate that very much, taking the time. It's always great to see when I have a guest stopping off somewhere to just get to me. To me, that means a lot. It's a great
No, it's
impression.
all
Makes me
good.
smile. Makes me happy. All right. Uh, I want to go on from this and look at a couple of things and pick your ear on a few things to get your opinion, because you're in on this more than me.
Yeah.
A lot with fight hype. Uh, about the Turk guy and Teofimo Lopez. They were seen often together in Saudi Arabia. And there's this talk about a major supercard coming up. Not supercard, but an event outdoors in Times Square, the Crossroads in New York City, that Teofimo would be on, that Ramirez would be on with Devin Haney, and of course, Raleigh Romero and my friend Ryan Garcia, and Teofimo talking about unification of 140, which there's a hard road to climb to that, as we know, or moving to 147. And now with the Turk guy and his involvement and a lot of money there, what do you think?
I think that's gonna be that. I'm really excited about that. If that happens at in Times Square, I'll definitely be there. And tomorrow I'll be covering Richardson Hitchens at the champion at 140. He's getting the key to the city, I think in Union City, New Jersey. I guess he moved over there, so I'm gonna be covering that. I'm gonna ask him about Teofimo Lopez, the Battle of Brooklyn, two fighters. I'm excited to see that matchup, to see how that goes. But I think that's good. The Times Square event. I heard it was gonna be free. I'm curious to see how they put that whole thing together.
I don't know. That 350 seats free. That's what I heard as well. But that's what the Turk guy is doing. I mean, he's doing this. He says he's for the fans. Here's another example of that. And he wants to take fights to unusual venues like Alcatraz, where he says Teofimo would fight, or at the Roman Colosseum in Italy, where I've never been, where I want to go. Give me a reason to go, by the way. That's what he's doing differently. But do you like the idea that major fights, just like we saw Saturday in Riyadh, do you like the idea that we're not seeing these type of events here in the United States?
I mean, obviously, it's easier for us to travel in the United States, especially the East Coast. Madison Square Garden. We can go to the West Coast with Vegas and everything. I mean, it's something new. But if he's gonna make the fights happen that we have to wait, that we've been waiting for so long, then I'll take it because that we're gonna have to deal with a little bit of the traveling. Alcatraz, I'm a history buff, so I'd be curious to go to the island to see a fight there.
It's a
Um,
museum. It's a museum. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'd love to go there. I'd love to go. Al Capone. I heard they were trying to set up like hotel rooms in the jail cells. I don't know how true that is,
I don't
but
know.
that's interesting. I'd stay there just for the just to get it. Say I stayed at Alcatraz one time.
Got to agree, though, that the Turk guy, as much as we don't have the fights here, that he's making this sport interesting again. I mean, if you're a
Absolutely.
boxing fan, you love it. You're still going to get the non-boxing fan tuned in again. That's why I don't agree with everything being over in different venues like that or Saudi Arabia. I want to see more fights at the Mecca, Madison Square Garden, Barclays Center, like we got in New York this Saturday with Gervonta Davis, Vegas, which was my home for years, fight capital of the world, even Texas, where Errol Spence, that became his home. But when the money is with the Turk guy and that Saudi Sports Commission, that's where the promoters are going to want to go. Let's face it.
Exactly, I agree. Go talking about the Coliseum and going to Rome. I wouldn't have a problem going there. I would love to go there. Bruce Lee fought Chuck Norris there in a
Yeah.
game of that or Return of the Dragon, I believe. So and the Roman gladiators fighting there. I would definitely be interested in going there to see the fight. I'm not too
Well,
excited about Riyadh going over there. Maybe Dubai, but I mean, I wouldn't want to continue to keep going over there. I'd rather
I
go
don't
to
know how guys
Japan to
do
see
it.
a new wave.
I don't know how guys take that trip back and forth. It's like around the corner for them. I can't even cross the street sometimes and I'm winded. I don't know.
Exactly.
This is Johnny Boy from FightHype.com, a great vehicle for a boxing fan to get the latest news, information, videos. That's where it's at. That's where they go. Johnny Boy, was great to come on the air with me tonight. Let's move on and let's talk about Khalid Plant, Diego Pacheco. There's been talk about a May 3rd fight there on the undercard of Canelo and William Skull for his IBF title. That's in Riyadh. See, that's why I don't know how the Turk guy can do talk May 2nd, May 3rd if they're doing Canelo and Skull in Riyadh at the same time. That's impossible, don't you think?
Yeah, that's strange. I don't know how they're gonna work that out. But some of the fights should be in the United States as well because we have boxing is big here. So Turkey having those fights out there, you can see the crowd. The crowd is not really that excited. The show is totally different. I don't mind a few fights in Riyadh, but you have to bring it back to the States. Even England, they have a big boxing fan base there. You know,
Yeah.
so I don't know about
Yeah, I
continuing to have
simply think
every
that
single fight.
boxing here in the United States, because the venues are too expensive, they're not paying enough for the promoters to lure them in. And that's why the promoters are going with the money, whether it be the UK or now in Saudi Arabia. What do you think about Diego Pacheco? Does he have a shot to be a champion this year at 168?
I think he does. I think he's a pretty good fighter. He has a great boxing ability. He's a very tough kid. He's tall. He's lanky. I think he has an excellent shot to become a champion. We'll just have to see, how he does. That fight is for sure with Caleb Plant, correct?
Yeah, that's what they're saying for May 3rd. Yep.
Okay, that's a great fight. Caleb Plant
I
is no
like
joke.
Pacheco. I think he's going to be a champion at some point this
Yeah.
year. I don't know what alphabet soup title he'll get, but I like him. I like his style. I like his footwork. I like everything about him. He's rose up the totem pole pretty fast, and he's got the zone, and he's got Eddie Hearn. Whatever he's got it. And at 168 though, you still got to get to Canelo Alvarez. He's not ready for him yet.
Yeah. That'll be a tough test to get to Canelo Alvarez. And Canelo Alvarez is already signed up, I guess, with Terrence Crawford, supposedly almost
Got the
95%
four-fight,
sure.
400 million deals reportedly with the Turk guy in Saudi Arabia.
Four-
That's supposedly what Canelo signed for. 4
400 million.
fights. Yep. 400
100
million.
million apiece.
That's the word. That's the word.
That's
Not 40
insane.
million, 400 million. That's the
400
word.
million.
Unless I'm wrong, I read my numbers wrong, and I can't balance my checkbook right anyway. So what the hell?
Rich,
Johnny boy, let me ask you about Carissa Shields. This came up in the last week. Supposedly in her championship fight where she won the heavyweight title in the female division, marijuana possessed. She got tested positive for marijuana. Now they say that was a miscalculation. Whatever it was the marijuana that smelled on her because people where she was at the venue were smoking marijuana all night long. Can you buy that?
It sounds fishy. I don't know about that story. That sounds kind of crazy. But I know, speaking about marijuana, like I don't know if this is a new style or this has been going on for a while. But every time I go to the bathroom at a boxing event at the Barclays
Oh,
I was in
Barkley's
Philly.
notorious at ringside. We have to cover our mouths and wear a mask. Yeah,
Everyone's smoking in the stalls. Everyone is like a
yeah,
smoke session. It's like, what the hell
yeah.
is going on over here? Now it's legal. I guess it's crazy.
But you
So I,
can't do
I
that
try
at
to
the
run in and
ball.
out. I don't want to
You
get
can't
high.
do that at the Major League Baseball ballparks that I'm at all summer, covering baseball. They'll get ejected out of the stadium right away.
Yeah, they have
Different,
kids and all
different
that
at a
at the
boxing
baseball.
venue. It's a different crowd, different demographic, whatever. I want to
Absolutely.
talk to you about this. The egg shot heard around the world the past couple of days. Out there in the UK, they continued their press conference today. They tried to get at each other. They had extra security intact because Conor Ben and Chris Eubanks Jr. was Nigel Ben, not Conor. Conor was the
Yeah.
father. Father-son rivalry renewed. These two hate each other, but the fight's April 26th in the UK. Let's take a look at this video and give me your reaction. Roll it, Thomas. Come on, a dozen eggs cost $12 here in the United States. What are you doing,
Spending a lot of money,
Eubanks?
man.
Now, do you think that was all planned? Is this part of the hype for this fight? Because they hate each other. There'd be no hype for this.
Absolutely, it just adds to the promotion. I think more eyeballs will be on the sport. Even the casuals will pay attention, and they'll come together. I think it makes it more exciting. I don't think you should do that for the next event. Keep the eggs away; they're too expensive. But for this one, it was okay. I think it's gonna hype the fight up. I think it'll be a
Who do
good
you
fight.
like in that fight come April 26th?
Well, I was with Ben in Philly for the boots fight, so I like his style. He was a gentleman, when I'm get kind of friendly with the fighter, I kind of mess up and I go with the friendship instead of thinking on paper who's better. So I'm going with Ben though. I'm sticking with him.
It's going to be one of those fights we call anticipation as we wait for April 26th, because we do know they are going to brawl, and
Yeah,
that might be a bloody mess as well. They hate each other. And
those
you
are
know
the
what
best fights.
happens at the end, Johnny Boy, when it's all over? All the animosity, they'll hug it out afterwards. But I wonder if these two will really hug it out when it's over.
Usually when you have a fight with someone, you have a mutual respect. You felt their power, he felt your power, and 9 out of 10 times those guys will make up, unless it's really like something that they did to a family member or something. I think they'll hug it out. I bet,
I-
or at least shake on it.
Interesting. And interesting as we look at as we saw the egg shot heard round the world. Let's move on to this weekend. Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Good card. PBC, Amazon Prime, and payperview.com. Gervonta Davis, he's home. He loves fighting at Barclays, where he won a title before. Lamont Roach, this is an opponent. They know each other. Proximity. Gervonta from Washington, D.C., rather Roach from D.C. and Gervonta from Baltimore. They know each other. Go back in the amateurs. They keep in touch. They're friendly. It showed at their final press conference at the Barclays Center today. You know what? WBA lightweight championship up for grabs for Gervonta. But everyone's looking forward to Gervonta win and possibly getting Shakur Stevenson next, the WBC champ at lightweight. How do you feel about this?
I think it's a good fight. I have a relationship with Lamar Roach. I interviewed him and we got close. So I really like Lamar Roach's chances. But obviously the favorite will be Javante Tank Davis. So it'll be a tough task for him to move up and beat Javante Tank Davis. Javante
Tank
gives you.
Yeah. Tank, not to cut you off, Johnny Boy, but
No, go ahead.
Tank starts off slow and then
Yeah,
he comes on in the seventh round. He gets the knockout. That's
I
what
think
Roach
that.
has to look. That's what Roach has to look at. That slow start, and then Javante seventh round or whatever.
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing. The best thing you want to do in a tank fight is you want to push it to him the first 4 or 5 rounds and go hard and go for the knockout because he's giving you that opportunity. If he's going to give it, you have to take it. One, like you said, sixth, seventh round, he starts to step it up. That's when you're going to have problems because he's timing all your movements. You have to be unorthodox, moving your head around and tying him up so he doesn't get off those shots. Frustrate him, lean on him. But even though Lamont isn't the bigger man, he looked about he's taller than Javante. I think he's bigger than him as far as
There were
height
two
wise.
bouts on the undercard that are of interest: Valenzuela and Ronnie Telez, two young stars in the sport as well. Fans could go out and see them or watch it on pay-per-view. Good card by the PBC and Amazon Prime payperview.com Saturday night. But, it's because the PBC no longer with Showtime doesn't do as many shows as they used to, but they've got Amazon and Amazon Prime behind them. I'll be there at ringside. I'll hopefully we'll see you Saturday night at
Yeah.
some point. We all know where we're seating till we get there. How about Keith Thurman? Keith Thurman is going to fight. He says he's fighting again. He's got something scheduled in Australia in a couple of weeks. Do you think Keith Thurman has a chance to get back in the title mix at 147 or 154?
No, I don't. And the reason why is because he's too injury prone. I think he was a great fighter, but the lack of inability, him fighting, and then the injuries on top of that, he's just not the same guy. Father Time is nicking away at him. Plus, the injuries. He's just not going to be the same fighter. I don't
He's
believe
getting
Keith
up
Thurman
there
is
in
the same
age as
guy.
well.
Yeah.
Looks a little heavier too from his training videos that he posts on social media. Also this weekend, Johnny Boy, Surreal Matias in Puerto Rico again on the zone. Gabriel Valenzuela, an IBF title eliminator. I love Mateus, even though he lost that title to Piero. Do you think Mateus gets back in this division and has a title again in the near future?
No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be tough for him, and I'm rooting for him. He's an exciting fighter, but he doesn't. I think he needs to box more than just brawl and try to walk the man down. Be scientific with it and use his intellect, and then he can win some of these fights. I think he's making the fights harder than they need to be. So good luck to Sabril Matias, but I just don't think
And being
he wants
Puerto
to go to
Rico
war.
once again. He's home again. Finally, let me get your opinion on this one. I don't know how much you know about it in Belfast this weekend on the zone. Patty Donovan, IBF welterweight title eliminator as well. Belfast is Lewis Crocker. Do you have an opinion on that one?
No, I'm not too sure about those guys.
Neither am I. And what boxing guys? And I know a little bit about Donovan. I know nothing, and I will admit about Crocker. But Eddie Hearn will tell you otherwise. That he knows them well because Eddie Hearn always has the answers, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Eddie puts them together.
Johnny boy, this has been great. We can go on and on. I'll definitely have you on again with Keep It in the Ring. Hope you enjoyed it, but you're not done yet because every guest who comes on with Rich Mancuso with Keep It in the Ring must get the fact of the week. Not
okay.
trivia, fact. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Thomas, here it is. Fact of the week. Pay attention. Here we go. It's a fact, not trivia, Johnny boy. A brawler, known in boxing, is more productive and easy to hit, but does well enough against other fighters' styles because they train to take punches well. Can you give me 1, 2, or 3 fighters that were brawlers in their fights over the years? They're more productive and easy to hit, but they do well enough against other fighting styles because they train to take punches well. That's why they're known as brawlers. Can you give me an idea? Give me a couple of names in that list.
Julio
They're all
Cesar
recent.
Chavez. Oh, recent?
Recent.
Sean Porter.
No, but he could be a brawler, but he's not on my list.
Okay. Aaron Pryor?
No, but he could
Just
be,
new
but he's
guys.
not on my list.
I'm trying to think of
Well, I'll give you a hint on one. At
Give me
one
one.
time, he was the oldest heavyweight champion of all time, not too long ago.
George.
Yep, George Foreman was one of them.
Okay.
Definite brawler. And one of them also a great champion from Philadelphia, fought at Barclays Center numerous times. Record crowds.
Danny Garcia.
There you go. Gave it
Okay.
away. Another one, a great champion from Puerto Rico.
Brawler.
Kind of like in the lightweight division. Lightweight.
Camacho.
No, but yeah, he was more style, but also a brawler. But more style than
He could get
brawler.
dirty with it.
How about Wilfredo Gomez?
Alfredo Gomez, Bazooka. Okay.
There you go. You know your stuff. You know your stuff. You got it. Facts of the
Exactly.
week.
Thank you, brother, for having
Johnny
me
boy,
on, man.
this has been
Appreciate it.
great. From FightHype.com, log on, watch the videos, and get the latest boxing news even better than me. How do they reach you on
Nobody's
social?
better than you, Rich.
Oh, no, I don't want to hear that. Listen,
You're
at
the
my
legend.
age,
You're the
I'm an
legend.
old timer. You guys are all new. You're taking over the business. Johnny boy.
No. We're learning from you.
Oh, well, I appreciate that very much. I don't think you guys would. Johnny boy,
I do.
where do fight fans reach you to get the latest on social media and so forth?
My Instagram is Johnny Boy Quick, and my boxing channel on YouTube is Johnny Boy Boxing. But you can catch me on Fight Hype as well.
And you do a great job. The whole network does. Keep up the good
So
work.
do you.
Keep it in
Thank
the
you,
ring,
Rich.
and I'll see you Saturday night at ringside, okay?
See you Saturday, Rich. You got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny boy from FightHype.com. That was great. Went around the horn a little bit about the fights coming up, what we saw, what's coming along. Definitely going to have him on again. He was great. Time for our first quick, brief timeout. It'll be real brief because we're running late as always. The MMA news and WWE WrestleMania season. Cody and The Rock. Where's that going on SmackDown? We might know tomorrow night, but going into the Elimination Chamber PLE event Saturday. Keep it in the ring. Rich Mancuso. Like, comment, subscribe. My YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso, String Punk Entertainment. Like the Facebook page. Keep it in the ring. Back in a moment. Stay with us.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
All right, back with some MMA news, some brief MMA news. We do it all here on Keep It in the Ring every Thursday night live on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Like, comment, and subscribe if you can. Thank you, was that A Hoop Zone, for tuning in and your comments. Really appreciate it. Dan Hooker, 5-round fight versus Justin Gertrude. I think I'm pronouncing this right. I'm horrible with MMA names. Gertrude, UFC 313, March 8, withdraws from the fight due to an injury. Dana White says Rafael Fiziev is the new opponent, 3 rounds, so that's been saved. Alex Pereira and Mogomedov Akhilov, there I go again, my apologies, will be the main event. And also, USC light heavyweight champ Jamahir Hill faces Kalali Roundtree Jr., main event UFC in Kansas City, April 26th. Was supposed to meet at UFC 303, but Roundtree got hurt, and now that's been rescheduled, and now we have him fighting on April 26th. Of course, he wasn't injured, Roundtree Jr. at the time. The fight got scrapped at the time because he was banned for substance abuse or some type of illegal substance. That goes on in MMA also as well. Thank you, Kareem Fields, and for your comments, and keep watching the program. Really appreciate it here at Keep It in the Ring. All right, let's go to the WWE content. Elimination Chamber coming up, and then I'm going to have Robbie Rebel, the Rebel Ramp, too. Promise to give him more time tonight. Let's see where that goes. The Elimination Chamber in Toronto this Saturday. It's going to be another PLE event. And first of all, congratulations to Raquel and Liv Morgan. Well, again, they're tag team champions with Dirty Dom in the female division. And still, Bianca Belair and has broke. It looks like her alliance with Naomi is just about done. That could come to fruition in the Elimination Chamber Saturday. And we took at the Elimination Chamber, the men's version, John Cena, CM Punk, McIntyre, Jake Paul, Damian Priest, Seth Rollins. Who's going to win it? Who's going to win it? I still think it's going to be Cena. But you're going to see something develop with Punk and McIntyre. These are things going on in the chamber, could revolve into WrestleMania matches. I still think Cena is going to main event WrestleMania. Maybe Cody Rhodes or not. I don't know. We're going to see what happens with Cody Rhodes and The Rock. What was that all about? Crazy situation. He wants to sell his soul. He wants Cody to sell his soul to him. In other words, that The Rock playing this role that Vince McMahon did with Steve Cold, Steve Austin back then. And it's going to be interesting to see if Cody turns him down. And if Cody turns him down, nobody really knows where will Cody go. Or does Cody sell his soul to The Rock and become a heel? I don't think WWE wants Cody to turn into a heel, or he wants it because he's very popular right now, sells an awful lot of merchandise. That brings money in revenue. So tomorrow night at SmackDown, more to this story, but the culmination of the storyline, Saturday night in the Elimination Chamber. See where this goes. And the women's chamber match, Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Naomi, Roxanne Perez, who could win it, A lot of people saying she might. She's gotten a big push, or it could be Bailey. I don't think so. She's had the title before. Maybe Alexis Bliss, who's back, can be a part of the Wyatt Six. And I'm looking for Alexa Bliss to come out victorious in the women's chamber match Saturday night. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, unsanctioned match, going to come to an end because Randy Orton is going to come back and interfere in this one. Sami Zayn maybe in the end helping Owens out. Watch this one, unsanctioned Saturday. And Strip Stratton and Stratus versus Nia Jax, my favorite, and LaRue. And there's going to be fireworks there. But I still think Stratton and Stratus will win. There'll be developments in that one as well. WWE continues to be the story. And the story again, The Rock and Cody, to see where that goes. Very interesting. But you know, Triple H has a tendency of swerving things when people know a little too much. And this came out today. TKA Holdings, they own WWE and, of course, UFC MMA. Mark Shapiro, the head, said today, listen to this, he's in discussion with the Saudis about creating a boxing league, and what are he in worth of? $10 million plus. So that's a development. Another boxing league in Saudi Arabia, like we said earlier. Very, very possible this is true because that's where all the action is right now with all the money. Let's shift to AEW. Adam Cope and the Death Riders continues. Look, AEW Revolution a week from Sunday is looking really good. Dynamite last night, one of the best ones in a long, long time on TBS. It's going to have Will Ospreay and Fletcher in a cage. That's happening at AEW Revolution. And this is March 8th, a week from Sunday. And you're going to have, I like this one. I like Ricky Starks now out of AEW in WWE now with NXT. We'll move up to the WWE roster pretty quick. He's now Ricky Saints. I like it. And I like his whole character now in WWE NXT. Paige against MJF at Revolution. Going to be a war. Because every time you get MJF in a match, in a main event, you know, you're getting fireworks and you're getting what you want to see. MJF eventually will be the champion again, but I still think this Cope Riders feud going a little too long with AEW, and it's got to end at Revolution one way or the other. And Kenny Omega for the International Championship against Kashioto or Hiroshato, whatever his name is. Again, I botched it up, but whatever. That's going to be good. It comes out of New Japan. Revolution shaping up to be a good one. And Swerve Strickland, going to be in there with Ricochet. And their feud will come to an end with it. And Prince Nahmed will get his robe back. That means so much to him. All right, enough of that. More WWE next week. We'll know more where Cody and The Rock goes. Time to bring in the Rebel Ant. Here's Robbie Rebel waiting patiently once again. I'm going to give him as much time as he wants tonight. We're going to go over. How are you, Robbie? Thanks for waiting.
No problem, Rich, but it seems like you have a little trouble pronouncing a lot of names tonight.
Well, correct me. I appreciate it.
I can't. You can't hear me until I start yelling.
Go ahead, yell it. I can
Welcome,
take a
everybody.
punch.
Okay, well, welcome to the Rebel Rant. This is the part of the program where we ponder and pontificate the problematic perplexities plaguing the professional wrestling business today. My name is Robbie Rebel. You could find me out on Facebook or Instagram. Just look up for the real Robbie Rebel, and the man with the top hat will be able to edge you back right there. Just for a little disclaimer right here as well, nothing that I say or do reflects upon Mr. Rich Mancuso or Keep It in the Ring. Now, today, we want to talk about staying safe in the ring. And this one's for all the boys that actually listen to me when I say this. First of all, we've been seeing way too many injuries coming out within the past 5 years. People breaking their legs, people breaking their necks, people breaking their backs, some people missing teeth. That we'll get into in a little bit. But when you look into how extreme sports could actually become, when it comes to professional wrestling, if you fall down the wrong way and there's a board popped up right in that ring, guess what? You're going to get hurt. That's just the way it is. But if you don't protect yourself or protect the person that you're actually wrestling, I mean, I do want to beat them up, but I don't want to get to the point where it becomes a legal issue, if you get my drift. There's a couple of things that I could point out. One, it's an infamous one. It's where Sid Vicious broke his leg, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've seen that. And if you don't, YouTube it. Just if you're a little cringy, I wouldn't really stay on it too long. But the man snapped his leg in half. There's another thing where an indie guy trying to do a double front flip doesn't actually connect with it and ends up cracking his neck. I actually know the guy he wrestled with WWA4 down in Atlanta. But I'm going to go into a little bit of a story time about actually protecting people. So if you may or may not know, I actually had an insane injury when I first got into the wrestling business, right? And I was wrestling this guy in New Jersey. First of all, it's the Wild West of the whole wrestling industry. So you don't even want to start in Jersey. If you get in there, make sure you're getting paid so that you could cover yourself on the insurance side. But when it came down to it, I was told to protect this guy. He's a new guy. I was green to begin with. That's a little bit of a terminology that we use. But I ask him, what's the big move that you do, man? And he goes, get into the corner and we'll do a drop kick right to your face in Bronco Buster style. And I was like, all right, no problem. Very easy. The guy comes running at me full force. And I'm like, he ain't slowing down. He's going to really hit me. And then, poof, hit me right in the mouth and got all my teeth out. Let me tell you something. If you don't protect people and you don't protect yourself, you're going to end up no teeth, broken bones, broken limbs, and you got nothing to pay for it. So if you don't want to actually end up in a hospital, make sure you protect people because way too many people have been getting hurt. And it's been happening all over WWE, AEW, and a bunch of indie feds. And I'm sick and tired of people not being trained well enough to protect other people.
Oh, but Robbie, you get hurt. Did you get hurt this weekend? You had a match this past weekend. Did you get hurt?
I actually have been suffering from previous injury where I tore one of my tendons in my bicep, but that's not actually. Oh,
it's a part of you. What you do? You're gonna get hurt. What are you talking about?
I didn't get hurt. I just got tossed out of the ring. I got punched in the face by Big O.
How did you do this weekend, by the way?
I came out and I was styling a profile, and baby, I was walking around that ring. No one wanted to come up to me, and then this guy who's completely on the juice just comes up, says, I'm going to hit you, and he tries tossing me out. Nope. I put him right back in the corner, started throwing some fists at him, throwing some shoulders right into his gut, and then I was like, now it's your turn. Flipped it right over on me, and I ended up going straight over. So I may have not won the Joker's Wild, but you'll definitely be seeing me more at NYWC because I'm just starting right there. And I already had a bunch of people yelling my name. And a lot of people that are actually working over there, they don't get any type of reaction like Robbie Rebel does.
Yeah, well, somebody just commented supporting the grind or whatever for $10. You know, one thing is that he's supporting the grind, but you know what, Al Hoop Zone, if we don't put post up on this program asking for money. I don't ask for people money because this program is free. It's subscription, it's free. So I will not endorse that at all.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sorry about that.
Rich,
what's that?
Sorry to interrupt. That's part of the channel because it's streaming on my channel. So he's just supporting the channels within itself. So
that's a different story. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's just him showing.
That's okay.
Support
if you want to pay Robbie Rebel for being on the show,
get the money to Robbie Rebel. I need it too.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. He's supporting. He likes what's happening on the show. That's basically what it is. Yeah, it's not.
So he gave us $10.
Yes, he gave you guys $10.
Look at that.
Rich. Oh, that's very nice of him. But you know what?
During the Rebel rant.
Every time Robbie, I get in front of the camera, you know it.
My apologies, because I usually don't. We don't ask for money, so that came out of nowhere. I'm sorry about that. Thank you very much. That's all I got to say.
That's the right type of person right there. Supporting the grind, A1 Hoops. You are the man. You deserve everything right there, brother.
Robbie, what do you got coming up next?
got CCW in Queens March 8th, and then I got ECPW Long Island defending my belt on 4/26, right in Port Jeff.
All right, I got to see if I can make it and do that long-awaited ring entrance for you. Let's see with this crazy schedule of mine if I can get it done. Anything else before I let you go? Who do you like in the Elimination Chamber this weekend?
As much as I hate to admit it, I got to agree with you with John Cena.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to win and head to WrestleMania in his retirement tour. I don't think he'll become a 17-time champion, but I agree. And by the way, do you like the direction AEW is going in? Why don't you rant about that?
I'll rant about it when I feel like it, but there's not much positive to go about. I want to see where some things go before I could say, hey, man, that was fantastic, because they start good. It's just like the most recent Star Wars trilogy. It started good. You had a good seed growing. You grew the plant. It ended up being a weed.
All right, where do fans find you, Robbie, on social media? How do they get you? I get a lot of requests about that because of you. You're very popular on my program. Where do they find you?
You can find me on Facebook at Robbie Rebel or The Real Robbie Rebel on Instagram, and I will always be able to like and I'll follow back all the time.
All right. Keep your cards and letters coming in. That's the Rebel Rampant Robbie Rebel. And if I get $10 tonight, I hope it could grow into $1 million. And thank you once again for that offer of support. Very kind of you. Robbie, keep it in the ring. Talk to you next week, my friend.
Sounds good. Thank you, Rich.
All right, keep it in the ring. We'll now wrap it up with one more final break. Come back, nostalgia real quick, couple odds and ends. In a moment, I'll be back in a jiffy. As I say, Rich Mancuso, live on my YouTube channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. This is Keep It in the Ring, back in a jiffy.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Well, we're back with you to wrap this up real quick and keep it in the ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. Thank you all for your continued support. It's nostalgia time. We do this every week. Let's go to March 4th, 1995. Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, who won gold at the 1984 Summer Games in Los Angeles, that I was a part of. He defeated Julio Cesar Vasquez by unanimous decision and winning the WBA Super Welterweight title in Atlantic City at the Convention Center. Vasquez made 11 defenses of his championship with Floyd Whitaker in round 4. Whitaker pulled away in the late rounds, became the 4th boxer to win world championships in 4 divisions. And we're seeing more of that now with some of the current fighters, following in the path of the great Hall of Famers, Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, and no mass, the great Hall of Famer, Roberto Duran. So that's Pernell Whitaker and Julio Cesar Vasquez, March 4th, 1995. And I covered that. I remember that one real well, and also knew Whitaker real well as well. Couple of sad notes as we close the program this week, and doing this much too often as of late. Rest in peace, Greg Harton. Last week, we talked about him on the program with his great fight with the great Mexican legend, Julio Cesar Chavez. Well, we found out this past week we lost Greg Harton, a 3-time champion, and again, a great champion he was. Greg Harton, may he rest in peace. And a legend we lost in broadcasting nationally, worldwide. He did the Olympics at times on ABC, NBC, wherever they were. And in New York, a staple of broadcasting, Al Trotwick. Too young, almost 68 years of age. In fact, 2 days before his 68th birthday. Here he is with the MSG mic at the Garden, the Knicks game, pregame, postgame host, and also did New York Yankees on the MSG network and elsewhere. I got to tell you, I knew Al wasn't friendly, but I knew him. And at times I was with Al worth every moment. Al Trotwick was a gentleman, great at his craft, prepared without doing extensive note taking. Did bullet notes. That's how he did his. I watched him prepare once. Also was gracious. Also was helpful to others who wanted to start in this business. He never turned anyone down with a hello or how to get into the broadcasting industry of media, which has now become more social media type, just like this on YouTube. But Al was old school in that regard and got his start, worked his way up, well-deserved, most of all, gentleman to the top degree. Rest in peace, Al Trotwig. We are going to miss you. I'd heard he's been ailing, hadn't been around for a few years, and then this. So we lost two great ones this past week. And again, we're doing it much too much as of late. Rest in peace to Greg Horton and to the great broadcaster, Al Trotwig, who didn't do much boxing, by the way, but was versed in an awful lot of other sports. And me. You ever see me with hair on my head? Take a look at this. Yeah, I got a Joe Louis Writing of the Year award from that organization way back. And the reason I bring this up is because the New York Yankees decided this past week that they are allowing beards and mustaches now and long hair as a part of being on their roster. So I thought, I'll have a little fun with it. Post it on social media. There's Rich Mancuso before I went completely bald with a beard and the hair, Al Capone type. I don't know. But it was fitting for me way back then. Thought you'd want to see some of that. And on that note, this hour or more is gone, and we did a lot this week. And my thanks again to John Boy of Fight Hype Media. He was great. To Robbie, the Rebel Rant again, for his great outburst. Try to still figure out what he says every week, but he gets it. He gets his message across. Thomas, behind the controls once again. Thomas, come on in real quick before I say goodbye real quick. Because Tommy D, next week, you're hosting the program. I'm taking the week off because I have other responsibilities, including some baseball stuff to do. I'll still be on the boxing and wrestling stuff. But Thomas, I'm sure you're going to fill in well. You do for me every time you do, as well as handling the controls for me every week. You ready for
I got an idea
in the ring?
Yeah, I think I can handle it. I got an idea of what I can do next week. I like Johnny Boy. I know Johnny Boy personally as well. I actually had him on my show and did an interview. So I'm thinking next week I might double down. I might do Johnny Boy and another friend of mine that's also in media. So we might do the show. Us three might do the show next week.
It's all yours. Yeah, it's all yours. You have my permission, free reign. Do what you want. As well as doing your shows also on platforms. Where do I get that a lot too? Where do they find you besides being here with me?
Well, they can find me, here on YouTube at TD Sports Talk, and just put my name, Thomas Dillamut, and I'm on Instagram and my full name. I use my real name for everything because my last name is not so common, so you could find me right away. And and that's where you find me. And then
that's why I call you Tommy D.
Yeah. Tommy
great
D
addition great addition to the program, and also a great addition in my life. He's been a great friend and colleague, and we become really close. And he just knows his craft. He's good at what he does.
Do you know Pedro Fernandez?
Yes,
he's the one that gave me that nickname.
It fits. It fits real well. Thomas D, thank you very much. You got Freeway next week, but you must have the Rebel Rant on.
Oh,
Keep It in the Ring is not the same without Robbie Rebel and the Rebel Rant. You get him on next week.
I think maybe we'll do the wrestling segment together. I think that'll
be good. Yeah. He'd rather hear from you than me, I'm sure. Thank you, Tom. I got to wrap this up and say goodbye to everyone till I'm back in 2 weeks, and that Tommy D will host Keep It in the Ring for me next week. I thank you all for your continued support. As always, don't forget to get me, reach out, Keep It in the Ring on YouTube, my channel live here every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I wish you would do that. I would hope you can do that. String Punk Entertainment, AGT Network, and like the Keep It in the Ring page on Facebook where there's content. Read my content on latinosports.com and a whole lot of other places where you'll find Rich Mancuso online. Now, no more print. That's gone. And my social media, X, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. And I think I'm out of words right now. I think I've done enough this week. I hope you enjoyed the program. I thank you for watching. Be good to each other. Stay well, of course. And as always, God bless. I'm Rich Mancuso. And as always, till next time, keep it in the ring. Thank you.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.